Two Chicks, One Show, where we break down one currently airing show, an episode a week, normally, except this summer / fall now, I guess, where we have started to go back in time to the early and late 90s and discuss The X-Files, because The X-Files is coming back. If you didn't know, you've been hiding under a rock, because it's been everywhere. It's coming back in January. It is currently November, and we are halfway through the series officially, or a little more than halfway. We just finished season 5, and we're also, as a special treat, going to be talking about the first movie, Fight the Future. For those of you who haven't seen our previous shows, you should go watch them because they're fun. The whole format of this is that Kait, my co-host, has never seen The X-Files. This is her very first time watching the show. Meanwhile, I am a humongous X-File, with the P, since college, which admittedly is not that long ago, but about 7 years. And I've been into the show for a very long time and love it. It's my favorite show ever. I have all the action figures and stuff all over my house. So we are discussing it from both perspectives, and season 5 is one of my favorites, so I'm really excited to find out what you thought of it, Kait.
It is literally my favorite season so far. I mean, I was a fan of season 3. Season 3, I really got into it. But season 5, I was like, I really liked season 5. Like, I loved season 5.
Yeah, season 5 has a lot of really solid writing. It's also a really big shift for the show. Like, things get really shaken up in the 5th season. It was originally planned to be the last season.
Okay, that makes sense.
And you kind of get that feeling in the season because of all the things that had happened. Chris Carter's original plan, from my understanding, was 5 seasons, 3 movies.
Yeah.
And at the end of season 5, Fox was like, "No, you're going to do more."
It's like Fox's biggest show
ever
at that time. So yeah.
Yeah, besides The Simpsons, it's their biggest show.
Yeah.
So season 5 was really big. It's the season that Mulder stops being the believer, where Scully starts to sort of become the believer. In some ways, some really weird crap happens to Scully in this season.
Yeah.
While Mulder is mostly being downer.
Mulder, it's no, like, clearly I love Fox Mulder. Like, who doesn't? Who watches the show? But Mulder's a huge dick in this season.
He really is. It's a really tough season for Mulder.
Yeah. I mean, the last, I think, maybe 2 or 3 episodes of season 4, and then, like, the first 5 of season 5 are just, like, some of the most solid episodes within the series so far that I've seen.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like consecutively good.
It's almost like a 4 or 5 part episode.
Yeah.
Because, like, the story just keeps building from there. And I suppose we should start with talking about the end of the big cliffhanger in season 4, in the very last episode, Gethsemane. It ends with Scully telling a investigative panel of people that Agent Mulder shot himself in the face.
Yeah.
And is dead. In the beginning of season 5, we find out what actually happened.
Yeah.
Which is that Mulder shot another dude shot another dude and then shot him in the face with a shotgun to pretend that he was dead.
Yeah. Which, clearly I knew Mulder was coming back because I know how long David Duchovny's been on the show. I'm assuming it was like most of these season finales in X-Files, it was kind of like, oh my god, is he really dead? Just like when, was it season 2?
Yeah, Stasi.
Yeah. Mulder almost dies in like every season finale, so it's almost like, oh no! So I guess cliffhanger was probably, like, it was probably equivalent to like whether Jon Snow is dead now, to like, I guess that, but I don't know.
I honestly don't know what the fan feeling at the time was, because I was not watching at the time. But when I was watching it, and maybe it was just because I knew how many seasons there were and that David Duchovny couldn't have left in season 4.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense. But it wasn't necessarily, wait, is he dead? It was more, okay, what's going on?
Like, that was the first time in our little social Two Chicks One show experiment where I didn't wait to start the next season until we did this. Like, I actually, like, automatically just went into it because I was like, well, you know what? Now I gotta know what they're up to. Like, who's he killing? Why is he killing people? Why is he faking his own death?
Exactly. And so we find out in the first episode that he faked his death and that Scully is helping to cover for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that is bad. She should not be doing that.
Of course not.
And the whole story, we sort of find out what happened leading up to that point, and then there's another big cliffhanger, and this time it's actually kind of a cliffhanger because at the very end of the first episode, Scully goes to name Skinner as the mole.
Yeah.
And as she's about to do it, her nose starts bleeding, and she passes out, and her tumor is essentially killing her.
Yeah.
So in Redux Part 2, which is probably my favorite episode of the entire series because I'm just such a hardcore Mulder Scully shipper, and I just love that episode for reasons. Mulder comes out and like says, "I faked my death. I have to go help her." And then he and the lone gunman go all Mission Impossible and try to find her cure, which turns out to be the little chip that she took out of her.
Which like kind of makes complete sense because all the women previous to her all took out the chip. If we remember when she was like in their like little meeting, they all were like, "Look at like our souvenirs," and then they all get cancer.
Right, so, exactly.
I probably would have been like, maybe I should put this back in my body before. So, but good job, guys, figuring it out.
It's interesting that there was this whole thing where like the chip is placed in the base of her neck, and if you take it out, it causes cancer. Assuming that the idea is to get rid of anyone who could testify to this chip having been a real thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It also, Mulder finding the chip after all the stuff that happened in Gethsemane, where he falls victim to this elaborate plot to deceive him to thinking that there was an alien body. Like all of that, plus Scully almost dying and her cure / the thing that was in her neck from her abduction was in the basement of the Pentagon.
Yeah. Like underground tunnels.
Yeah. All of that sort of culminates in Mulder no longer being an alien abduction conspiracy theorist. Now he knows it's the government. He knows someone's screwing with him. Yeah. And that's when he becomes pissed off for the rest of the season.
Yeah, he's just like, as soon as that happens, Mulder's just like, he's like how the Grinch on Christmas Eve. Like he's just miserable the whole entire season, and you're just like, oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. He was just annoying. But it was a great Scully season.
It was a great Scully season. There are some other really weird things that happened to her this season. The whole thing with Emily.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking.
With Christmas Carol and Emily, where
I just want to say the Scully family are like assholes.
Like, her brother's really protective, and he's really the only one that you encounter.
Yeah, but her brother's like a dick. He was like dick fighting with Mulder, like when they were in the hospital. They're like, no, like, why are you here?
I agree and disagree. I mean, her brother is very difficult, but he obviously cares about her. Like, he's not a horrible person.
Sure.
But you know, his sister is dying, and this guy that he doesn't know, who she's only known for a few years, and you have to consider that in those few years that Scully has known Mulder, Scully has been abducted how many times? She was literally abducted for weeks on end one of those times and ended up near death in the hospital. Yeah, and his other sister actually died.
But like when Scully was first abducted, and that where was Bill Scully then? Yeah, all of a sudden he just comes out of the woodwork. Like, come on.
Well, we never meet her other brother.
Yeah. Well, was he at the funeral for the father?
He might have been there, like, in a shot.
Like, I think he was, like, standing there with, like, the umbrellas.
But at that point, we hadn't met any of her family. Like, we hadn't met Melissa or Bill.
No, or Mrs. Scully.
We've met Mrs. Scully
just, like, in that episode. So not sympathetic for, like, her at all during the Christmas Carol and the follow-up episode, Emily. They're just like, she's not your kid.
Well, because you have to admit, like, it's kind of impossible from their perspective for that to be a thing.
Oh, God.
Also, okay, so here's the thing from Emily in A Christmas Carol. So in A Christmas Carol, Scully finds out that there's this girl who has been adopted, and she has some sort of like autoimmune disease or something. And the girl looks exactly like Melissa Scully, Scully's older sister, when she was a little kid, and so she thinks that it's Melissa's daughter that she had in secret and gave up for adoption, and then she finds out through genetic testing that's actually her daughter. So in the next episode, when Scully's like fighting for custody, because both the kids' parents are dead now, I guess, Mulder comes out and says the whole thing about how he found her eggs like frozen, and he knows that she's been harvested and that she can't have kids, and he never told her that.
I don't know. It's weird.
It was a very weird scene.
Doesn't he explain it though? Like, I didn't think it. Like, I think he like says like, well, I didn't think it mattered.
And oh, by the way, I have some still.
Yeah.
I've just kept it in my freezer because God knows I don't use it.
Yeah, because doesn't he take like a vial? Like, so
yeah, he takes one of them. He keeps it. That it was like it's a whole plot point.
Yeah, but it's never discussed again. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know half the time why Fox Mulder does what he does.
But he's so pretty when he does it.
Yeah. You're just like, oh yeah, he's doing the right thing.
So all the stuff that happens in Emily, you sort of really feel for Scully because she knows that she can't have kids, and there's this kid that's totally hers biologically, but like it's so confusing for everybody. And then the kid is also turns out is one of the clone things that we met in previous seasons who they bleed like toxic fumes.
Yeah.
And that's what this kid is.
I think it's, like, for me, it was sad because from the beginning of the X-Files, like, Scully has always kind of really enjoyed being an FBI agent, but she always kind of wanted to have her own life. And then when she joined the X-Files, that kind of just got completely sidetracked. And here was this opportunity for her to kind of have a normal life, even though, like, she didn't actually give birth to a child or anything like that. And it was kind of yet again taken away from her because of her association with the X-Files and with Mulder.
Yeah, yeah. And it bleeds through. I like that they brought it back later in the season with All Souls, because this is also the season of Scully really questioning her faith.
Yeah.
Like, she's questioning her faith in God, where she'd been sort of a lapsed Catholic at the beginning of the season, and then her whole brush with death made her more open to religion. Like, she allowed a priest to come and pray with her and things like that. And then toward the end of the season, we get All Souls, which is another episode where Scully actually almost sees proof of scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are these girls that they were born with a bunch of birth defects, and it turns out that they're actually seraphim.
Yeah.
Which were a certain type of... She
starts to believe, but even the priest is like, you're crazy.
Right, even the priest doesn't believe in the literal interpretation of the Bible. Yeah. But I do like that they bring biblical mythology into the X-Files, because it's just as much a supernatural tale as anything else.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna try to prove the existence of the Jersey Devil, why not try to prove the existence of the actual devil or the seraphim and things like that? So I thought it was interesting. And I always like those episodes just because of my history in Catholic school and stuff. It was always interesting. So those episodes are always fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that was Scully's whole arc, was the questioning of the faith, and then she also the sort of big where everything comes to a head, and we also get sort of a new antagonist in Agent Spender. Was in the middle of the season with Patient X and the Red and the Black, where Mulder actually speaks on a panel about how, you know, alien abduction isn't real. And then he meets Cassandra Spender, who is Agent Spender's mother, and she's like the most famous abductee ever. It turns out it's this weird reversal where Scully believes her, and Mulder doesn't.
Yeah. This is like another completely like Mulder's just being an asshole. Like in this episode, like in these because it was a to be continued two-parter classic. Mulder's just a dick.
Yeah. But we also meet
Scully believes something. Mulder's like, no, you're wrong.
Right. Yeah. Well, Mulder is very dismissive of Scully's beliefs, and he is for the whole of the series that we've seen so far. Anytime something religious happens and she believes it, he dismisses it. And anytime and in season 5, when she starts to actually believe some of the things that are happening, like we have a whole episode, Chinga, where she goes and ends up investigating an X-File by herself.
Yeah.
And actually like knows what to look for and is the one who believes that the doll is killing people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's bizarre. It's a whole weird reversal that I actually find kind of fun from the dynamics of the relationship. But yeah, Mulder is, for all of his open-mindedness in terms of the supernatural, he's not very open-minded when it comes to other people's opinions. I think that's true to humanity in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah.
Which I kind of like. But yeah, we also meet a new alien kind of race, the ones that have sort of cauterized their faces so that the black oil can't get inside.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to, they're sort of like alien rebels.
Yeah, they're trying to stop the colonization.
Yeah, so they're killing all the people who have been abducted, and which includes Scully and Cassandra Spender, and they cauterize their faces so that the black oil can't get in and take over. Mm-hmm. But this is also this is the season. The big thing, because it carries over, is meeting Agent Spender, and eventually, as we go on, meeting Agent Diana Fowler.
Yeah, I just can't stand that guy. So annoying.
Yeah, I mean, and we all experience it through sort of Scully's interpretation of Fowler. So like, Fowler comes in and she very much sort of elbows between, Scully and Mulder, and is like, oh yeah, me and Mulder, we have this great relationship, and we have all this history, and we investigated all these people with psychic abilities.
Cool.
Aren't we amazing?
Yeah. Well, a good episode. That little kid was so cute, and I hope he isn't dead. But who knows?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens in that episode, and it's another episode. Well, actually, no, that might be a little later. There's a lot of really good stuff in the season 5 finale, and it's also, it ends on a cliffhanger, sort of. So I always wonder, like, obviously they intended to end it on some sort of cliffhanger because the intent was to end with season 5 and to do 3 movies. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if they knew about season 6 before they wrote the last episode, or if that was always the way they were going to end the season. It's just something I'm always curious about, and I'd love to ask at some point whether that's how they intended to end the season, the whole series. But the whole season ends with the X-Files getting closed down because they got set on fire.
Yeah, by the smoking man. Who's not dead. Spoiler.
Who's not dead.
He's not dead.
Yeah.
He's turns out to be what's his face, his father.
Mm-hmm.
Who we should have all figured it out because he's the guy plays him in the flashback episode in season 4.
Yeah.
But I thought I had to ask you because there are shows, i.e. Doctor Who, have used the same people, same actors as different characters, but never linked them. So I'm like, oh, are they pulling that kind of shit on me?
Nope, they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, so it was on purpose.
Oh no, they put thought into it. How dare they?
So,
anyway, so season 5 ends with a bang. I mean, it ends with the X-Files catching fire. Everything that Mulder's worked for is literally going up in flames.
Samantha Mulder's file.
Huh?
Samantha. He took Samantha's file.
Oh, yeah, he took Samantha's file.
So that's the only one that survives, I guess.
Other stuff survives because not everything can burn, but a lot of things burn, including his lovely poster.
Mm-hmm.
So the X-Files are closed down. Scully and Mulder are being taken off of them. And that launches us into Fight the Future,
Okay.
which is the first movie.
We didn't get to talk about my favorite episode of season 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was your favorite episode of the season?
You know which one was my favorite episode of the season. It was Postmortem.
Oh, right. Postmodern Prometheus.
Yeah.
My brain was like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Postmodern Prometheus is probably the best episode of the season.
It's probably one of the best episodes of the whole entire.
Oh, like, yeah, definitely. Those fun ones where they sort of like try something new and like play around with the formula and stuff are always really great. They do that with, Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose and Jose Chung's From Outer Space.
Which is my other favorite, so.
And Bad Blood, which we've gotten to.
I think so. Yeah, it was this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another good one.
That's another great one. And of course, Postmodern Prometheus, which is the all black and white Frankenstein, obviously, because that was what Frankenstein was. And the
Cher-loving monster.
Yeah.
The Cher part was the best.
What?
The Cher part.
Oh, yeah. The Cher part is always great because the whole episode soundtrack is Cher, and then at the end they go and see Cher.
Yeah, like in Las Vegas. Or don't they go to Las Vegas and see Cher or something?
Something like that, yeah. And then they dance at the end, and it's so cute.
It was so good. I loved every second of it.
That's one of those episodes
another one that was just Luke Wilson with like his feet, like just the telling between the two different storylines was fun.
Yeah, Bad Blood is probably one of my favorites just from a writing perspective. Because it's great to see the two perspectives of both of them and how drastically different they are, because it's actually something in the middle.
Yeah, but they did agree that Mulder did eat her pizza.
Yes, Mulder did eat her pizza.
So,
Luke Wilson and when Scully's telling the story, he refers to her as Dana, and Scully's like, I'm sorry. Mulder's like, I'm sorry, what?
But when Mulder tells her he has like buck teeth and like a lisp and stuff like that. So
exactly.
Another good episode that I really liked was the one that was just about like the lone gunman origin story.
Yeah, Unusual Suspects is a really fun one.
Like, okay.
Yeah, that one's really fun. It's in the past. And this is also the season where we have 2 flashback episodes. And in both episodes, Mulder's wearing a wedding ring.
Yeah. I mentioned that we were watching that one together.
Yeah.
When we were in California, and I was like, why is he wearing a wedding ring?
And there's a lot of theory that surrounds it, because Mulder never references being married, because I don't believe Mulder ever was married. They would have brought that woman up if he ever had been married. Like, she would have appeared and wouldn't have just been like Diana Fowler and, coming back and the ex-girlfriend from the first season. They would have brought that up. There's another theory that, like, some of the theories are just that he forgot to take it off in certain scenes, but I feel like someone probably would have called him out because it's multiple angles.
Yeah.
There's a theory that it was because this was around the time that he got married to Tay Leone, and it was just a joke.
Yeah, like an inside kind of thing.
Yeah. Just to see if anyone picked up on it, which of course every fan picks up
on.
All did. Mulder's wearing a ring.
Yeah.
So that was always funny. So yeah, that was season 5. There were a couple of really good fun episodes. There were a lot of really good dramatic episodes.
A lot of heavy episodes.
A lot of heavy episodes. Season 5 is a very heavy season.
Yeah, there wasn't as many like monsters of the week, like one-offs, as there is in previous seasons.
Yeah, but the ones that were there were pretty good. Chinga was an interesting one. It's written by Stephen King. It feels very much like a Stephen King story.
Yeah, I wasn't too fair. I was like that.
I know, you didn't like it very much. I like it, but I like Stephen King. So now we can talk about the movie, Back to the Future, which lands between seasons 5 and 6, and it bridges the 2 seasons. So if you don't watch the movie, things are very confusing when you get to season 6, which is why we're talking about it and why we decided to include it in the whole thing. So after the X-Files have burned to the ground and they've been taken off of it, they've been reassigned to domestic terrorism.
Go from X-Files to that.
What?
Just go from X-Files right to domestic terrorism.
Yeah, we're going to reassign you from the X-Files to domestic terrorism. And they end up on a unit that is investigating like a bombing or a bomb threat in Dallas or something. And basically it's Mulder and Scully disobey orders, actually end up in the right place.
Yeah.
So they do something good, but because they disobeyed orders, essentially because Mulder disobeyed orders and Scully went along with it, they end up under suspension and investigation, and they're probably going to get fired.
Yeah.
It's all awful. And Scully's like
never really get fired. They just like get like, well, you guys aren't going to work together anymore.
And Scully's getting reassigned to like Arizona or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet Scully, yet again, is the only one that has to like go to the meetings. They're just like, oh, let Mulder just be, you know, this wandering little man that just does what he wants. Like Scully always has to go and like sit in front of all these boards and like.
Well, she's the responsible one.
Oh God, poor girl.
So with all that going on, at the same time, there's still X-Files things afoot.
Of course.
And they end up investigating like a farm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole thing. It's like a whole thing. Where there were some kids who fell into a hole or something, and they found black oil, and so it was their bodies and some firefighters who were trying to get them out, who were in the building that got blown up because it was a whole big cover up.
Yeah.
So Mulder is told by another sort of deep throat character that, you know, that's what was really happening and that they need to investigate further. So they end up going to this farm, and when they get there, the bees return. I told you they'd be back.
And they bring smoke, like the mysterious men in the 42nd Street apartment in New York City bring back Smoking Man. Like they go out to like his Alaskan cabin or wherever the hell he's staying, writing on his typewriter.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, we need you back. He goes back, and now it's like his mission to like put an end to Mulder. And like Mulder then, yeah, and then like Mulder meets up with this weird guy that claims that he knew his father. He's feeding him this information. So I know there was a lot going on, but really just all revolves around the black oil and the bees.
Yeah, exactly. The black oil and the bees become extremely important because as we find out in this movie, the bees aren't just bees; they're actually carrying an alien virus, and they're going to be used for colonization.
Yeah.
Which we find out because, as the X-Files is wont to do, Scully gets put in danger.
Yeah. She gets stung by a damn bee.
Yeah, but in the greatest scene for any X-Files shipper so far, because they're in his hallway and she's like, I got transferred, I'm quitting, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I can't do this without you, it's amazing, I love you, basically, but not saying that out loud. And then they get this close to kissing, and then that goddamn bee stings her in the neck.
I mean, I know that everyone wants them because like part of me just like thinks it's like perfect that they never do.
No, it is. Honestly, one of the things that makes the relationship so good is the fact that the show doesn't revolve around it.
Yeah.
Like they have a really strong bond as people and as friends and as coworkers. You just still kind of want to see it become more because you know they sort of deserve that relationship in a romantic fashion.
Yeah.
So you still just you want it. You don't. It's not one of those ships where you're sitting there every single week going, why aren't they together? It's just every once in a while they give you these little nice tidbits and it's nice.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good moment. The bee ruined it, and then all hell breaks loose.
And then all friggin' hell breaks loose. Mm-hmm. Mulder calls the whole thing because she's going into shock or whatever, and the paramedics show up and take her away, and it turns out that they are not paramedics.
And like they go to shoot him, and they like just graze him. Like he
just grazed the side of his head.
Yeah,
he's too delicate.
Yeah. Oh no, not my face. And then he like goes to Alaska and saves her, and it was great. Typical fashion.
I like the whole thing with how he gets, and his snowcat runs out of fuel.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like one thing after the other. Smoking Man's everywhere. He's like, this time definitely Mulder's not gonna make it. Like, he's like, the places, like, he gets there, they realize that Mulder, like, was able to break through and, like, save Scully, so they, like, hit the self-destruct button. Or, like, they're like, well, what about Mulder? He goes, he'll never make it out alive. And, duh, of course he makes it out freaking alive, damn Smoking Man. You should have just killed him when you had a chance, but nope. You're never gonna kill him.
Smoking Man constantly underestimates Mulder's ability to not die in horrible situations.
Yeah. And also Scully, because they're always trying to kill Scully to get to Mulder, but she always makes it.
You'll notice my change of scenery. I had to plug my computer in. Yeah, because they always also underestimate Scully's ability to not die in horrible situations. There are some fun little tidbits. Like, well, first of all, we should talk about the actual thing they discover, because the place that, like, they have to go to the Arctic, and the place that Scully is being held in the Arctic, she's like in a weird stasis chamber.
Yeah.
With like a crazy umbilical feeding tube down her throat and like all this crazy nonsense, and it essentially is an incubator. As it turns out, the virus that it delivers, not entirely unlike the black oil, except that it actually causes your internal organs to like reform into a fully grown alien creature.
Yeah.
Which like bursts out of you alien movie style. Which actually happens, I think, to some of the bodies.
Yeah, because as they're trying to escape during self-destruction mode, you see like some of the, I guess, people that have been stung by bees that now have transformed into aliens, like trying to break free. But they're like alien werewolves.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. It's mostly just like, how weird can we make this?
And it was weird.
It was pretty damn weird. Mulder does get to Scully in time. She has not become an alien host yet.
Yeah.
She is not in a good place.
No.
But she is not dead. And he
also finds he has the cure.
Yeah, he has like the thing that he injects her with. It's sort of it's a cure, it's an antidote or something. Yeah. It's not really explained very well.
No. I only call it the cure because when Smoking Man realizes that Mulder's there, he goes, he has the cure.
Right, somehow he knows he has the cure.
Yeah. Which did he get from the mysterious deep throat guy before he got blown up?
I think so.
Did he give it to him?
I don't remember. There were a lot of moving parts in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so he has the cure and he gives it to her, and it sort of interrupts the whole process because he injects it into the umbilical tube thing, which like makes it shrivel up, and then he can pull it out of her mouth.
Yeah, he pulls it out, and as they're
also naked.
Huh?
Also, she was naked.
Yeah, so he had to cover her.
His reasons.
I mean, if you're gonna be like in a tube, I guess you would be naked.
Like, I guess it kind of makes sense, but then she's just wearing his coat.
Yeah, she had to be freezing.
Right? And she's like covered in goop, and she has no shoes on.
Yeah, and they're going out like literally in the Arctic. So
that always bothers me, that she's not wearing any clothes under that parka.
Yeah.
And she has no shoes on, and she's covered in goop. She's gonna go outside like in 3 seconds. This woman is frozen solid.
Like, it was better. That situation's better than what she was in. So I guess it's all relative. Like,
die from alien growing inside me or hypothermia.
Yeah, and then as they're like escaping, it turns into a spaceship.
Yeah, it's essentially a spaceship that
and they flies away,
but because no one else was there, no one believes them. Of course.
Yeah, of course. Like, Mulder even starts to, like, not kind of believe it.
Yeah. He's like, what if it wasn't what we thought it was? Excuse me.
Yeah.
So essentially, the movie ends, and they're in no different a position than they were before, except that they're allowed to stay working in DC.
And they reopened the X-Files.
Yeah, but Scully and Mulder are not on it.
Oh, I didn't get that.
You didn't?
No.
No, I thought you did.
I mean, like, the last thing in the movie is...
The X-Files have been reopened?
Yeah, is the memo that just says the X-Files have been reopened, and, like, Scully is now convincing Mulder. It was, like, completely... Mulder's like, it's a waste of time. Why are we doing this? Go be a doctor while you can still be a doctor. And, like, all of a sudden Scully's like, no, I've wasted, like, 5 freaking years doing this. We're going to find the truth.
Well, now it's just interrupted her life again.
Yeah.
There's obviously something horrible happening.
I've been almost turned into an alien again, or, you know, something like that, so I might as well just keep going.
Exactly. Yeah, so the movie ends in sort of a weird place. I mean, it's a full story, except that nothing really changes at the end. The only thing that changes is that we now have new information, which is that we now know how colonization is going to happen.
I mean, the big picture is colonization's happening. The other thing is these magical clones that have been created are immune to colonization. Mm-hmm. But that Deep Throat 3.0, because there's been so many, but then he dies, so we need another one.
Well, we still have Marita Covarrubias a little bit.
Oh, she's still alive?
Oh wait, no, she's all in the black oil coma. Right.
Yeah, she's like, yeah. God, jeez.
I forgot about her black oil coma. I'm sorry.
So yeah, so now we need a 4th one. Her boss is like Deep Throat in the movie. So, like, he tells Mulder that the reason Samantha became a clone is so she was immune, and he didn't do it for you because he thought you would find the truth. And then he gives Mulder the cure for Scully, and then his car blows up.
Yep.
So, another one bites the dust.
Mm-hmm. They're just killing off those conspirators.
Yeah. So, like, that's pretty much what the movie... And, like, now the X-Files is open, but apparently they're not in the X-Files, so I don't know.
They are not. The X-Files have been reopened, but Scully and Mulder are not on the X-Files.
So I'm assuming it's going to be like Mulder's ex-girlfriend and Smoking Man's annoying son. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. Spender and Fowler have taken over the X-Files.
Can't stand them. Stand them.
No one can. That's why they're perfect villains.
God. So annoying.
Yeah, season six, the beginning, I think you'll find interesting because it now has to pick up from where season 5 ended, but also where the movie left off. So it has to include some of the storyline. So season 6 is an interesting one. It's a little weird. Season 6 is when it starts to get weird.
Okay.
So I'm interested to see what you think of the season when we get there.
Yeah.
I don't think the writing is ever as strong again as it is in season 5 because the writing is just so good in season 5.
Yeah, season 5 is really just good job.
Yeah, it's really just incredible. Season 5 is a great season. I still think season 4 is my favorite because there's just this huge chunk of great Scully episodes. And I judge all the seasons based on whether or not they have good Scully episodes.
Yeah.
It's true. It happens. So yeah, we 5 seasons down and a movie.
I just want to talk about the open when Scully starts screaming in the movie.
We can.
Just briefly, because I thought it was very funny.
There's a scene early on when they're trying to evacuate the building because it's the one that has the bomb in it as opposed to the one that they think has the bomb in it. And she runs down to the lobby and she yells at the people at the desk and it's very intense. There's online everywhere.
She's just yelling and she's really intense and she just keeps screaming that we don't have any time. Like, but it was like so cool. Like it was like kind of like a boss lady kind of move. Like she's got like her 90s cell phone in one hand and she's just screaming at everyone.
Big ass cell phone.
Yeah, big, like a brick. And she's like, we have no time. We have to get out of here. And like you're watching it now and you're like, holy shit, this is like a lot of overacting. So I was a little bit nervous for the movie, but it turned out okay.
Yeah, it turned out fine. Once you got into it, it turned out good. I really liked the movie, the first movie anyway. I like the second movie too, but for different reasons.
Selling it.
I really like the movie. I really love season 5. I'm glad you liked it. It's probably gonna. My guess is it's gonna remain your favorite season, even into these next 4 seasons. We still have 4 seasons left, and only like 3 months before the show comes back.
So we have 4 more seasons and 1 more movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
The last movie is going to be less essential to the plot.
Is like the last movie after all the seasons, or is
the last movie is 6 years later.
Oh, okay.
Because the show ended in 2002, the movie came out in 2008.
Okay.
I saw it at midnight. There were like 12 of us.
Aww.
Yeah. So the second movie is less essential to the overall plot line. So if you're following along with the series, if you're following along with X-Files 201 days, because there are 201 episodes of the X-Files and they started at 201 days before the new season starts, they're about 5 episodes into 5 or 6. I think there's 6 episodes into the 6th season.
Oh, they're ahead of us now?
They're ahead of us now, so we have to pick up the pace. We have 3 weeks.
Shit.
3 weeks, Kate. Yeah. After season 6.
Okay. I'll try.
Arg. Yeah, no, season 6 is weird, but interesting. The beginning is great, in my opinion. I love the beginning of season 6. So, we will see what you think. There's some more interesting Scully episodes in this one.
I'm sure there always is.
There always are. There's at least a few. All right, so that's pretty much what happens. Yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's going to wrap us up. So we want to know, of course, as always, what you thought of Season 5 of The X-Files and what you thought of Fight the Future. Leave some comments with your thoughts, any predictions if you're a first-time watcher. If you are a longtime fan like me, no spoilers. We're trying to keep Kate unspoiled as possible, except when I occasionally slip up and tell her the bees are important, as I did a few seasons ago. So leave your comments and let us know what your favorite episode is, least favorite episode, whether or not you think Mulder is a dick, but pretty to look at. And we will see you guys next time when we talk about Season 6. So yeah.
Woo! Season 6!